Welcome to The Explainer. We live in a world that's just screaming at us to optimize everything. Biohack this, upgrade that. But today, we're going to talk about something kind of radical. What if the whole point is just to be human? Let's get into the antidote for all that pressure to be perfect.
So, let's kick things off with this classic Zen quote. It's this beautiful idea, right? It's all about staying grounded in the simple, everyday stuff. No matter how spiritually advanced you think you are, you still got to do the chores. The work is the work. But what do our hyper-analytical 21st century minds immediately do with a simple idea like this?
Yeah, exactly. We do this. We can't help ourselves. We immediately start trying to turn it into some complex system, some consciousness technology we can master. We're always looking for the secret code, the hidden protocol. And, well, this whole tendency is the perfect setup for a great little story. Okay, let's meet the main character here. This is the student who knew. And I'm telling you, if you've ever been in any kind of self-development or spiritual circle, this student is going to feel very, very familiar. I mean, look at this list. This student was a total pro. She had studied, she had mastered all the advanced techniques. This is some seriously high-level, jargon-heavy stuff. She wasn't just reading about it, she was doing it. She knew all the systems, inside and out. So one day, her teacher walks up and asks her the simplest, most human question imaginable. Just 3 little words. How are you? And her answer? It's basically a systems check, a technical report from her own internal operating system. She's not talking about feelings. She's reporting on field integrity, how many times she's fought the depression boss, temporal mechanics. She's completely translated her human experience into the language of her frameworks. And right there, that's the whole problem in a nutshell. It's this huge disconnect, and the teacher spots it immediately. The student gave a report on the machine, not on the person who's actually running it. So the teacher just cuts right through all that noise. He asks again, but this time he really leans in. No, how are you? Not your systems, not your progress reports, not your energy field. You, the person. And nothing. The student is just silent. She's completely stumped. And you can see the realization dawning on her. Without her concepts, without the jargon of her tech stack, she doesn't actually have the words to describe how she feels. She can't answer the question. So, what's going on here? This student's little dilemma is the perfect example of something called the spiritual bypass trap. And it's this sneaky but really powerful danger that a lot of us can fall into, especially when we're genuinely trying to grow. And this is the key. A spiritual bypass is when the very tools you're using to connect with reality actually end up creating a barrier. They become this really fancy, intellectual way to avoid the messy, simple, and sometimes kind of crappy reality of just being a person. Okay, so if that's the problem, what's the cure? Well, it's not another complicated technique. It's actually a series of these wonderfully simple, almost rebellious anti-practices. They're designed to plug you right back into your messy, unoptimized humanity. First up, the stupid cry. The whole point here is to stop making your emotions into a big spiritual project. It's not about some deep trauma release or navigating your inner landscape. It's just letting yourself cry because the grocery store was out of your favorite ice cream. It's giving yourself permission to have a cry that means absolutely nothing. And I just love this success metric. The goal isn't some huge epiphany. Success is just you feel a little bit better, maybe a little bit silly for crying over something small, and you accept that that is perfectly, wonderfully okay. All right, next we've got the failed meditation. And what's so great about this is how it totally reframes failure. We're all programmed to analyze a bad meditation. Was I resisting? Do I need a new technique? This practice just says, nope, let it be a fail.
So the win here, funnily enough, is not trying to find a lesson in the failure. You sat down, your mind went everywhere, you gave up, the end. You didn't spin it into a big story about your spiritual journey, you just moved on. That's a success.
And this leads perfectly to the graceless failure. This is such a radical idea today. It's the idea that not every time you screw up is some profound teaching moment. Sometimes you just tried something and you were bad at it. That's the whole story. And the way you succeed at this is by just embracing it. You failed, you learned absolutely nothing from it, and you just moved on with your life. like billions of people have done forever. It's this deeply humanizing thing to just accept that sometimes a failure is just a failure. So what's the common thread here? What connects all these anti-practices? It all comes down to one really powerful idea: giving yourself permission. In this slide, this is the whole game. This is the key distinction. It's about shifting from a rigid identity, I am a spiritual person, so I must do these things, to a flexible toolkit. The practices stop being a requirement and just become tools that you can pick up or put down. I mean, just look at this. This is a permission slip. You are allowed to be basic. You're allowed to be boring. You're allowed to have a day where your energy field is weak just because you're tired and you don't do anything about it. You can just be a normal person. And that brings us right back to our student. After thinking about it, she finally tries to answer again. And listen to this. It's messy. It's vulnerable. It's confusing. She's tired, lonely, she laughed, she felt guilty. It's just so incredibly real. And the teacher's response is just perfect. He doesn't offer a solution or another technique. He just validates her. He basically says, yes, that messy, honest human confession you just made, that's the real work. That is the practice. Because, in this world that's so obsessed with getting to the next level, maybe the most advanced, most difficult practice of all is to have no practice, to just put the tools down, stop the constant analysis, and just be ordinary, alive, and completely unapologetically human.